You know that feeling when someone asks you, "So, what do you do?" and you freeze? Because the truth is, you do a lot of things. You're into graphic design, but you also love writing. You're learning Spanish, thinking about getting a certification in UX, and honestly, you've been considering starting a podcast about sustainable living. And when you try to explain all of this, you see it in their eyes, that look, the one that says, "Oh, so you don't really know what you want." But here's the thing, you do know what you want. You want all of it. The problem isn't your interests. The problem is that we've been taught to believe that success means picking one lane and staying in it forever, that being multi-passionate is just a polite way of saying unfocused, that if you don't specialize, you'll never be great at anything. And so you try. You try to narrow it down. You force yourself to choose. And what happens? You burn out. Not from doing too much, but from suppressing too much. In this video, I'm going to show you why your brain is wired the way it is, why the old career advice doesn't work for people like you, and most importantly, how to build a sustainable, fulfilling career that honors all of your interests without burning out. Because you don't need to fix yourself, you need a better strategy. Let's start by getting one thing straight. If you have multiple interests, you're not broken. You're not lazy, you're not afraid of commitment. You're what author Barbara Sher calls a scanner, or what others call a multi-potentialite, a polymath, or a renaissance soul. And here's what most people don't realize. This isn't a personality flaw, it's a cognitive style. Research in personality psychology shows that people high in a trait called openness to experience are naturally drawn to novelty, complexity, and variety. Your brain literally lights up when you encounter something new. You're wired to explore, connect ideas across domains, and synthesize knowledge in unique ways. Think about it. Some of history's most influential people were scanners. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't just a painter. He was an inventor, scientist, mathematician, and writer. Maya Angelou was a poet, activist, dancer, and singer. More recently, people like Elon Musk and Oprah have built careers by weaving together multiple passions. But here's the catch. While your brain thrives on variety, the modern work world is built for specialists. We're told to niche down, to become the best at one thing, to build a personal brand around a single expertise. And when you try to force your multi-passionate brain into that box, that's when the burnout starts. Let's talk about what burnout actually is. Most people think burnout comes from doing too much. And yes, overwork is part of it, but research from organizational psychologists like Christina Maslach shows that burnout has three core components: emotional exhaustion, feeling drained, depersonalization, feeling disconnected from your work, and reduced sense of accomplishment, feeling like nothing you do matters. Notice something? 2 out of 3 of those have nothing to do with how much you're working. They're about how meaningful your work feels. And here's where it gets interesting for multi-passionate people. When you suppress your interests, when you ignore that pull toward learning something new, or you shut down a creative idea because it's not on brand, you're creating what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. You're forcing your brain to live in conflict with itself. And your brain hates that. Over time, this internal conflict depletes your mental energy faster than any amount of actual work. You start to feel exhausted not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing the wrong things, or because you're doing the right things in the wrong way, in a way that requires you to constantly deny parts of yourself. Think of it like this. Imagine you're right-handed, but someone tells you that to be successful, you have to only use your left hand. You could learn to do it, you could get good at it, but it would take twice the energy, feel twice as hard, and you'd always be fighting against your natural wiring. That's what happens when a multi-passionate person tries to build a single-lane career. Okay, so how do you actually do this? How do you build a career around multiple interests in a sustainable way? Here are 4 research-backed strategies that work. Strategy 1, the slash career, sequential rotation. This is where you intentionally rotate between your interests over time, not randomly, but strategically. Here's how it works. Instead of trying to do everything at once, you give yourself permission to focus on one interest for a defined period, say 3 to 6 months, and then rotate to another. For example, Q1, you focus on your graphic design work. Q2, you shift energy toward writing and building your blog.
Q3, you dive into learning UX and maybe taking a course. Q4, you integrate what you've learned and start a hybrid project. The key is intentionality. You're not abandoning anything, you're rotating, and you're doing it in a way that prevents decision fatigue and gives each interest the deep focus it deserves. Research on task switching shows that our brains perform better when we can immerse in one mode at a time, rather than constantly context switching. By rotating, you get the benefits of focus and the satisfaction of variety. Practical tip: use a simple calendar or planner. Mark out which interest gets your primary focus each quarter. This doesn't mean you ignore the others, it just means you know where your energy is going. This strategy is about finding the through line that connects your interests and building a career identity around that. Let me give you an example. Let's say you love nutrition, fitness, mental health, and graphic design. On the surface, these might seem unrelated, but the through line: holistic wellness and visual communication. Your umbrella brand could be, "I help wellness professionals communicate their message through beautiful, science-based design." Now, suddenly, all your interests have a home. You're not scattered, you're integrated. This approach works because it leverages what psychologists call cognitive flexibility, your ability to see connections that others miss. It also reduces the cognitive load of managing multiple identities because you have one coherent narrative that holds them all. Practical tip: write down your top 3 to 5 interests, then ask yourself, what's the common value, skill, or mission underneath them? That's your umbrella. This is where you intentionally maintain 2 to 3 parallel income streams or project types at the same time. It might look like a part-time job in one field, which provides stability, a freelance side project in another, which provides creative freedom, a passion project or learning pursuit, which provides growth. The key here is balance and boundaries. You're not trying to give 100% to 5 things. You're designing a portfolio where each piece has a clear role and time allocation. Research on work-life balance shows that people who have varied responsibilities often report higher satisfaction as long as they have autonomy and control over their time. Practical tip: use time blocking. Assign specific days or times to each stream. For example, main job Monday through Wednesday, freelance work Thursday, Friday morning, passion project Friday afternoon and Sunday. Caveat: if you have at least one stable anchor, like a part-time job or retainer client, this works best. If everything is freelance and unstable, the cognitive load can be overwhelming. This one is perfect if you get excited by newness, but don't necessarily want long-term commitment to every interest. Here's the idea. Instead of building a career around a permanent role or identity, you build it around projects, short, focused bursts of work that let you explore an interest deeply and then move on. For example, spend 3 months creating a mini course on something you're learning. Take on a 6-week design project that lets you experiment with a new style. Write a series of articles on a topic you're curious about, then move to the next. This approach mirrors the way our brains naturally work in cycles of exploration and consolidation. You dive deep, extract the learning, create something, and then give yourself permission to shift. It also prevents the guilt and shame that often comes with moving on from something because you've designed your career to expect and honor those shifts. Practical tip: at the start of each project, define the scope and end date. Knowing there's a finish line makes it easier to commit fully and easier to let go when it's time. Now, a few important notes. If you have ADHD or high sensitivity, HSP, these strategies still apply, but you may need extra support around executive function, things like external accountability, body doubling, or working with a coach. Your nervous system may also need more rest and recovery time between projects. That's not a weakness, it's just data. If you're highly introverted or prone to overstimulation, the portfolio career approach might feel overwhelming. You may do better with the slash career or project-based model, which give you more focused, contained energy. If you're in a survival season, financially or emotionally, please give yourself permission to simplify. It's okay to put some interests on the back burner while you stabilize. You're not giving up on them, you're being strategic. Here's what I need you to hear. You are not too much. Your interests are not a distraction, they're your design. The world will try to convince you that you need to be one thing, that you need to stay in your lane, that you need to choose. But the truth is, some of the most innovative, creative, impactful work in the world comes from people who refuse to be put in a box, who bring together ideas from different fields, who see connections others miss. That's you. So stop apologizing for your curiosity. Stop forcing yourself into someone else's template. Start designing a career that actually fits the shape of your brain. Because when you do that, when you stop fighting yourself and start working with yourself, that's when the burnout fades. That's when the energy comes back. That's when you start building something sustainable, fulfilling, and entirely your own. Let's recap. If you're multi-passionate, you're not scattered, you're a scanner. Your brain is wired for variety, and that's a strength. Burnout doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from doing the wrong things or the right things in the wrong way. And you have options, whether it's the slash career, umbrella brand, portfolio career, or project-based approach. You can build a life that honors all of who you are. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one of these strategies, just one, and try it for the next 30 days. Notice what shifts. Notice how your energy changes. Notice whether that constant hum of anxiety starts to quiet down. And if you want more support, I've created a free guide called the Multi-Passionate Career Blueprint, where I walk you through exercises to identify your through line, map out your interests, and design your own custom career strategy. You can download it in the description below. Also, if you found this helpful, check out my video on why rest is not enough and what actually restores your energy, because sustainable creativity requires more than just time off. You've got this. And remember, the world doesn't need another person pretending to be simple. It needs you, all of you.